Hi guys! So for the next sewing practice, we're going to make puff sleeves. So with my version, it would be easier to follow than other books that I have looked at, and well, my version's easier to follow, hopefully. So let's go at it. Hi guys! So first step, you have to take out your sleeve block because we will be needing this, of course, for sleeves. So with this basic, we will manipulate it into the puff sleeves. With your sleeve block, please trace everything all around. Do not forget to add in your grain line in the center, because that's important to know where your center of the pattern is. So now that we have drawn out our sleeve pattern, we're going to concentrate mostly on the top part of the sleeve. So this is my right side because it has one notch on the sleeve and two notches for the back. So this indicates where your sleeves are going to be placed onto the bodice, right? Okay, so we're going to concentrate up here. Our next step is, do not forget to draw the line from one end of the sleeve bottom to the other end of the sleeve bottom, which I mean the armhole area. Okay, and then so you have the line there. The next step is we are going to divide the sleeve into, let's say, one, two, three, four. We'll divide it into 4 pieces. Okay, so at least you can see like how it will spread out, because that's where we're gonna add more to the sleeve armhole so that we can make the puff sleeves, which is why we concentrate on up here. So what I did first was label F and B. F meaning front side, B meaning back side, so you don't get confused, even though you have your notches to indicate what's front and back. So this is to help you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the front notch as a guide, and the center of that, which is the point over here for the grain line that I said is important that we need to draw out. We need that because we're going to use that as a point. So from the front notch, I'm gonna just connect it to here. So 1, and then the next one I'm not measuring, I'm just like indicating like where would be best for it to fit. So actually we're making 6 sides, not 4, my mistake. So here, 6 slices, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, because we're gonna use this center also. So the next one, we're gonna go to the back notches, and I'm gonna connect it to the second one. Okay, and then in between here and that notch, I'm gonna go somewhere in the middle here, there. I'm gonna use that and there. So you got 6 slices of the armhole sleeve. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are we gonna do next? Well, we're gonna cut them. Okay? So what we did first was we cut off the line, okay? And then from there, I cutted it off slice by slice, starting from the side, going to the center, and then back to the other side, okay? But so you don't get confused and everything is in order, you can number them. It's best to always number them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and don't throw away the bottom of the sleeve because we need that to attach things, because what we're gonna do is, what we did was slash and open, right? So we're gonna add paper in. So with this exercise, we're gonna, add paper, add more allowances to the armhole of this. So what I did, I cut from that side the excess paper. So we're going to be using this, okay? So again, I am going to cut a bit more out so I don't have to waste the whole thing. Best to always save paper. So this side I just will use aside. So put the rest of your sleeve bottom part on top. Don't put the side all the way there because, well, we need just a bit more spacing. And then with that, I will tape it down. Tape it down. So tape down the center first and then tape down the side. Always flatten things, okay guys? Don't make it bumpy because it might not fit your upper part of the sleeves in the armhole area. You need that. And then tape the rest down. Okay, so now that's attached. With the number 1, as you can see, so remember it was like that. So what we will do is from the point here where it's on the side, we will move a bit. We'll pivot it a bit there, as you can see. Okay, so that's the spot where I want it to be. Not so much, because we're not going to make such a big one. I'm just showing you how gradual it can start first. I will start here on number 6 first, so there's no confusion. So you just have to find the right placement of it, so because things can tend to move around. All right. I think that's where I want it to be. So yeah, with me placing down one side first, it's easier to start taping things down. And then again, don't move things, because if you start moving, then everything will be out of place. So careful by careful, just start putting it down. So now that I've taped everything down, I am going to, you can see how it's not really lining up together. It's a bit, shifted and stuff. But that's the thing. We're going to start adjusting it to fit. And, okay. So I'm going to use, actually, I'm going to use this again. So what I'm going to do is just eyeball where things are going to start blending in with each other. So of course it's going to end here for the bottom part, but that's the thing. We're going to start our gathering from here and then that side. So we're not touching anything else from the bottom of the armhole of this. Okay? So from here I'm just going to, try as much as possible to make it match up together. As you can see, same here, top part and bottom. Here it's gonna adjust just a bit. It's gonna blend in with your old pattern too, okay? So now that I made the new lines where it's supposed to be cut from, now we have our adjusted sleeve, which we're gonna start making into a puff sleeve, okay? So I will make seam allowances all around 1 centimeter, all right? So don't forget 1 centimeter all around. And the center, continue the center line, don't leave that out, so at least you know where it's gonna fit in your pattern. It's important to know where your new center line is, all right? Don't forget to draw that out. So there, this will be my new center line. All right. Hey guys, so now that I cut out everything and I added the seam allowance, you can cut your fabric. Just cut one. This is just a sample anyways, so you guys can see closely how I've done things. So you can see here on the left side, not left, I mean the back side has 2 notches, right? So don't forget to notch those because it's important to know the placement of things, right? There. And then for the front also notch it, and then from there notch the center also, so you know it will reach the shoulder seam of the bodice. So it's notched. Now you can see how I adjusted everything so it can blend together. Alright, and then just cut your fabric, only one side, that's fine. Okay guys, so I cut my fabric already. So usually we do the gathering of the puff sleeve area with either the sewing machine, but I'm going to show you by hand. I mean, you can still do it by sewing machine by bringing the notches up of the stitches higher so the stitches can be a bit bigger, and then you can pull onto the thread so it can start gathering. And well, this technique I'm going to show you is more on hands done. So with this, do not forget on your fabric to indicate where your notches are, okay? So things can be in the right place. Also, with your pattern, it has to fit onto the bodice armhole. So you have to calculate, or not calculate, you have to measure your bodice armhole so it can fit. So it can fit your sleeve, okay? So I would ask you to now measure the front and the back, all right? It's important that you do that. I mean, front and back, all right? So after you measure your front and back armhole of your bodice, you just put it down on your pattern so that at least you know it. So I placed mine down, what's the front and what's the back, and the total of what the whole measurement of the armhole is, okay? Don't forget that because you need that, so when you start, you know, gathering all this, it will fit properly into the armhole. So what I did first, I didn't unpin everything, I just unpinned the top part of the pattern because we're gonna start gathering. I would suggest that you have a needle and you use a colored thread so you can see how it's gonna, well, work. So what I do is I'm gonna eyeball 1 centimeter, all right? So from the notch to the other notch, we're gonna like up and down motion of the threading. So don't make it so big, just make it like 1/4 away from each other, okay? But eyeball it as 1 centimeter seam allowance, please. so you don't use too much of the fabric, and then it's just too big of a rouging, too big of gathering. Okay, so you can see this is what I'm doing. I'm just following all around, okay? If you want to do it with a sewing machine, that's fine. I'm just showing you this way also because, well, it's easy and then it doesn't really damage the fabric. So when you put it onto the mannequin, you can see that, you know, if it needs to be adjusted, it can just be removed right away. Because if it's the small stitches of the sewing machine, then of course you have to remove everything. And that can be a bit tedious. So I would really suggest that you try and do it by hand first, okay? So all around from, this is the back notches, as you can see, and then end it where the right notch is, okay? All right. Okay guys, so also don't forget to measure your sleeve armhole area, okay? You need to know how big that is comparison to the bodice armhole also, so both can fit into each other. So my bodice is around 16, so that's my measurement. So I need you to measure your own bodice and sleeves, okay? So measure your own patterns. Don't just follow mine, because mine has no proper measurement instruction to it. So I'd rather you follow this procedure and do your own measurements with your own pattern. All right, and then so my bodice armhole is 16 in total, but then my sleeve, since we adjusted everything and, you know, we spread it out, mine is 18 and a half, so that's like 2.5 inches bigger. Okay, so what I did after I told you to sew it, this is how it looks, right? If you can see closer to how it looks. So that's what I want you guys to be doing, all right? So next procedure is, okay, so you see that, right? When I say we're gonna pull, so I'm turning it around. So when I say we're gonna pull the thread, we pull it. So the one end where I started, it has a knot. So don't forget to make a knot on yours, okay? So mine has a knot here. Just move that. Okay. So do it like this. So you see I'm pulling, right? And there's a gathering happening. So that's what we want. Alright? So don't pull so much, because remember, for mine it's only 2.5 inches that I need to somehow fit within. So that's why it's good to do it by hand besides just sewing. So there are moments where you can just like undo it again and do it without any damages to the, but look, that would be your shoulder. See? Not bad. It's starting to puff up, but we want to move a bit more of that downwards so it's really spread out, not just in one area, not just towards the front. So okay, just so it's a bit more even towards the bottom part there. You can see. So imagine my knuckle being the shoulder. So this is what we do in the fashion industry if we just want to see if it can slope down accordingly. So, ooh, yeah, okay, that's looking nice. So as you can see, I have already gathered enough. What I did was I measured again. You know, you have to really eyeball and measure up to the end and see if it measures to your bodice measurement, okay? Because if it does, then that means it's good, it matches up. So over here, what I'm gonna do is like knot it so it doesn't move anymore. And there, I'm done with this part. Next, you will have to sew the sides first, so at least, you know, it closes and then you can see the outcome really of your pattern. All right, now that you have your measurement corrected, what I will do is I'm gonna stay stitch on top with the sewing machine, the ruching area, so it doesn't move around. Okay, so I will do that and it will stay put. So you have to sew carefully and not to make it look like one side has more gathering than the other. You have to just like look at your sewing and how it's going and just try to spread it out accordingly, okay? All right. So what we're gonna do here now is we're gonna equally spread out and stay stitch the gathering area so it doesn't move around anymore. All right, so we'll carefully do that. So I would ask you really to just like hold things down and stay put. So we're starting from one notch end. So like I said, 1 centimeter please, so it can stay a certain distance. Slow and easy, carefully. You can see the gathering is moving about. I would have the needle stay down. So I would just like try to move just a bit, you know, so it's just, like I said, equally separated in a way. Okay. So you can see it's doing its thing again. So just try to move it. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Careful, slow and easy. Needle down, so you can always adjust accordingly. Okay, you see how I'm making it flat? We'll keep it as is. Okay. As you can see, I'm just like trying to spread it out. The reason why I put this here is so that it can stay in place and doesn't push anything out. Alright, here we go, towards the end. Lock it and we got it. So let's see how it kind of looks. Alright, it's looking okay. And you can just see it still moves, but then not so much. It's okay to adjust things just a bit more if you want. Okay? Alright. Next, we're gonna sew the sides. The side seams of the sleeve, okay? So we can close that so you can see the full coverage of how things look already. So like I said before, always line up your seams properly so it doesn't move around, okay? And then hold it down, 1 centimeter seam allowance, okay? And here we go. So that's done. Now that we're done sewing, I'm gonna flip the sleeve inside out so that we get the facing side. We get the good side of the fabric. Okay, so there, that's a side seam, and this is the top where the gathering is for the puff sleeves. So now you can see, look at that. So what did I say again? To check on how it curves onto the shoulder, because your shoulders are curved. You do it like that and you make a fist, and there you go. Nice. I'm gonna put this on the mannequin with the previous pattern that we did, just to show you guys. All right. So this is our previous pattern that we just made, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this as a sample because we used the basic block, which is the same armhole measurement. So I'm just gonna do the back first. We're gonna use this side, okay? So for me, the right notch will notch up here too, okay? So I'm gonna just insert it in a way, inside out, so it can fit. And I'm gonna pin it, so don't forget to line up your center notch with your shoulders, okay? Don't forget to do that, it's important, that's why you needed it in your pattern. And then I'm gonna pin it all around just to show you guys how it actually looks. So guys, I pinned it all around from the inside, okay? Just line that up, and there. Now let's flip it back, and that's how it's supposed to be. Puff sleeves, guys. Alright, you did it. I'll have to just adjust it just a bit, but then you guys get the idea. Oh, that's why that's the pin. Okay, you guys get the idea of now how puff sleeves are done, right? See? Look at that. Right? And it fits within all around the basic bodice that we used for the asymmetric curved darts, right? So I just use it as a sample because it's the same measurement anyway. And look how it puffs. And then you can make the pattern bigger also. You just have to really adjust how you're spreading out the cuttings, all right? Okay, there we go. Puff sleeves, guys.